Hello and welcome to another quick Top Tip Tuesday video. In today's video we're going to ask one very simple question. Is it worth uploading videos in 4K to YouTube? Now this is a question I get asked quite often. Quite a lot of people ask me what resolution should we be using for our footage? Is 1080p okay? Should we be using 4K? And there are a number of answers to that question. Now, before we do try and answer that question, I think there's just a couple of things that are worth understanding. First of all, what is 4K? What is resolution? What do any of those things mean? Resolution is about the number of pixels across an image by the number of pixels up. It will be quoted in terms of something like 1920 by 1080 pixels. And that is what's considered to be high definition, full HD, sometimes it's called. That is what that is. Now 4K is the kind of next standard that's coming out. It's very much on the horizons and very much coming through more and more in a lot of things that we do. 4K resolution is going to become the new normal at some point. That's going to be what people use for video use. However, for the time being, most stuff online is done in 1080 or even 720p. 720p is actually a lower resolution than 1080. And one of those two standards is normally what you would find for most things, most of the time, online. So then, surely the answer is, well, there's no point in using 4K if most of the time it's going to be viewed in 1080. And to one extent, yes, that is absolutely true. The majority of YouTube content particularly is viewed on a tablet or mobile device. And a lot of tablets and mobile devices don't have 4K screens, so you can't even view things in 4K anyway. So the obvious answer is, well, no, there's no point in putting things out in 4K. You can't view it in 4K. But that isn't necessarily the whole answer. It's kind of a bit more complicated than that. So the next thing to understand once we've looked at resolution and what is resolution, well, the next thing to know is what stages of the process are there and how does that affect resolution as we go along. So for example, we could have a 4K camera and we could film in 4K, but we could edit that video in 1080, so we could actually pull that video down to 1080 when we come to edit it, and we can still export that footage as a 1080p video. So there are different stages in this process, and all those different stages can have implications as to the resolution of the footage that you end up with. Now that's all a little bit complicated, don't worry too much about it. The key thing to know is if we film at 1080 and we edit at 1080 and we export at 1080, how does that footage compare to if we film at 1080 and edit at 1080 but export that video as a 4K video and upload that to YouTube? Would we get any benefit? Is there any point in doing anything like that? And the answer here might actually be yes. You see, with social media, with YouTube, Facebook, anything like that, anywhere where you're going to put this footage, they actually have a number of things. So first of all, it's all based around algorithms, and these algorithms will work out what videos people may or may not want to see, which videos are going to be better in terms of the quality. And so they will look at the resolution, they will look at a video say if it's in 4K, and all those things will have an impact as to how prominent they will make your videos in front of people who want to see it. And generally, YouTube and Facebook and all the social media platforms all want to see a move towards 4K video. Generally, 4K is seen as being better. And so if you upload a video in 4K, they will actually promote you more. They will say, hey, this guy's producing 4K content. Let's put them out in front of people. And so there is a sense in which 4K can have a benefit from that point of view. But the other big thing that 4K can do is that if you upload a video in 4K, YouTube will say, this is a bigger video, and therefore they need less compression and more bit rate, more data, more information available for people to be able to view this video. So when you upload a video in 4K, they actually give you a higher quality viewing setting. I'm trying to use kind of simple language here, so I might be oversimplifying this a little bit, but this is basically what's happening. They'll kind of make your video available in a higher quality setting than if you use some 1080 videos. They will then give that a much heavier compression and generally not give it as much bit rate and much information for people to view that video in. Now, again, this is kind of technical terminology and stuff that you might really not kind of understand. The simplest way to say, is it worth doing that, is potentially yes, but look for yourself. I've created this video on a 1080 camera. This was filmed at 1080. I then put it into my software and edited it at 1080. But then when I came to export it, I exported it twice. And I exported one just in 1080, so it's been 1080 right the way through from beginning to end. I exported a second one in 4K. Now that 4K video is going to gain me nothing in terms of resolution. It was filmed in 1080, and so that means that there is only that number of pixels available for this whole video. I'm not going to suddenly magically gain pixels by exporting it at 4K. However, what I will do is when I upload this to YouTube, YouTube will see that one of those videos is in 4K. It will give it more space and it will give it more bitrate, it will give it more information, it will compress it less. So the theory is it should look a little bit better. So what I've done is I've uploaded both of these two versions of this video. So there is one version in 1080, one version in 4K. It is exactly the same footage that came out of the camera. It was edited in exactly the same way. There was only one timeline. I did nothing else to it. The only thing that I've done that was different was I exported one as 1080 video and one as a 4K video. So you can go and look for yourself. Go and check out the other video. In theory, it shouldn't even matter whether you're viewing it on a 4K device. So if you've got a tablet or a phone or whatever you're watching this on, and that's only a 1080p device, it still shouldn't make any difference. There should be a higher bitrate available for the 4K. This is a bit of an experiment. I've got no idea how that's going to compare. But hopefully you can view these two videos and you can see which one's going to look better. Put your thoughts in the comments below because I'm definitely going to be interested in finding this out for myself as well. But in theory, the 4K one should look better regardless of whether you're viewing it in 1080, regardless of whether you're viewing it on a 1080p device. There should be a small improvement for the 4K video over the 1080p video. Let's see. Hopefully this has been a useful thing to watch, and you need to go and watch the other one obviously to compare the two, so do that, go and do that. As always, like, share, subscribe, bell icon, all that stuff. Hopefully this has been a worthwhile experiment, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.